How's it going, everybody? Good morning, evening, or good night, wherever you are right now. Just happy you're here. Thanks for tuning in. This is Life on Fire, and I'm going to be your host now, tomorrow, every other day, just me. So, I'm currently sitting at my home right now, and I can't do anything because I'm in isolation. So, unfortunately, I was stuck by myself over Christmas by myself. I already said that, but, it was tough. It was different. And, Christmas looked a little different for a lot of people this year, and that's okay. But I wanted to come on here and talk about things that I've been getting a lot of questions about, a lot of, people wondering. And personally, I was nervous because I didn't want to start this. I mean, I did because I've always wanted to be like a radio host and things like that. But at the same time, I was nervous. I think everybody is when you start a new venture. You put out different content hoping that people are going to like it, but there's always going to be haters. There's always going to be people that don't like it, that will give you shit for it. And it's unfortunate, but, everybody's entitled for their opinions. So today, I didn't know how I was going to start this, or, if I kept putting it off and replaying it in my mind like 100 different times on how I was going to do this. And, I'm like, is it worth it? Are people going to resonate with it? Are people going to appreciate it? And, I've been getting so much support from so many different people, and they're like, you have so much to say. And I was like, do I? Do I really? And then eventually I clicked, and I was like, yeah, you know what? If my words resonate with just one person on what I say, or I'm able to change somebody's perspective on something, then what I'm doing is absolutely worth it, because that's exactly what I want to do. For the longest time, I've only ever wanted to just be boots on the ground, helping somebody physically, being in person. And then I realized, because of the different platforms, is I'm able to help people in different ways, mentally, which is a huge thing that I stand behind. I think you got to get your head right, your mind right, and just, because if you want to, longevity in this life that you have, you got to take care of your mind and your body. And I want to help other people do that as well. So, today we got a couple questions that, one of the big ones that I get is like, what motivates you? What keeps you on track? And, as funny as that is like, I grew up with solid people around me, that with a lot of support. But then at the end of the day, even if people aren't around you, it's what you watch, it's what you listen to, it's what you read. And I found myself just attracted to just all this positive stuff because, I knew if my attitude towards everything that I looked at was, appreciative, or if I had a lot of gratitude towards it, that would translate into my life. And, I would try and find people that I thought, could teach me amazing lessons. And it was always, people older than me, because they offer so much. They've gone through life, and you want to listen to them, and you want to talk to them and find out what they worked on in their life, what they hated, what they didn't appreciate. And because if that person is great to you right now, think about the hardships that they went through. And I want to tell you about this one person that changed my life. His name is Earl. And I worked with him up north, and we were doing rescue together. And this man is absolutely incredible. I cannot find enough to say about this man. He's 60 years old. He's a retired captain out of Calgary. And the way that he spoke about life, the way that he spoke about his wife, it's absolutely something that I strive for. I think everybody should, take a look at themselves. And, I know this man has been through a lot, based on the stories that he told me and the things that he had gone through. I could see that he was constantly fighting, and he would still have a smile on his face. And the way that he talked to me about it, it was just, it inspired me. And I got to be with this guy every single day for months. And I wouldn't have changed it any other way, because, we went out, we worked, and we came back, and we played pool, we ate dinner together, we shot the shit together. And, he set an alarm every single day at the same time. And it was the song that reminded him of his wife. And I loved that. And at first I was like, why do you have an alarm set for the same time every day? And he looks at me and he's like, just to remember my wife. And I was like, is she gone? And he's like, no. I just want an excuse to think about her just one more time. And I looked at this guy and I'm like, holy shit, you're a man. Like, the way that he talked about her, he was like, she saved me. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't hear people talk about, women like this anymore. And it's, I find it fascinating. And then the way that he talked about his career and the people around him, and he was like, the people around me are my friends, but they're also my family. If somebody stands up for me, if somebody protects me when I'm not even there, that person has my, everything of me, and I'll never question them. And I was like, yeah, that is something you should definitely look for in friends and things like that. And sorry, I'm a little stuffed up right now, a little cold. And it was just amazing the way that he would speak about life. And I still talk to him to this day. We give each other texts, we give each other calls. And I totally recommend finding a mentor or somebody that you can look up to, that is going to put you on the right path, that is going to encourage you and say, no matter what you do, you're going to be amazing at it. And this man did that for me because, when I lost my dad, it was very tough for me. And then I realized, just if you have yourself open to the people around you, there's always going to be somebody who can fill that spot. Maybe they're not blood, but there's kind people out there that want to fill that spot for you, and they'll give you everything if you're open to it. And this man already had kids and things like that, but the way that he took care of me and taught me these lessons and made every moment feel like it was our last, it was incredible. I'm very grateful that that he came into my life, and I will absolutely cherish that friendship for the rest of my life. But there's another question that I always get asked that I try and answer as much as I can, but I thought it would be better just to say it here. A lot of people always say, it's like, Spence, like, I feel like I need someone to help me, like I need a partner in life. I feel happier when I'm with someone. But why do you think that is? I can tell you from experience and from the people around me that if you think somebody else is going to make you happier, then there's a lot of work that you need to do with yourself. And I'm not saying you're broken or you're unfixable. I'm just saying there are things that you need to work on within yourself, whether it be your mind or your heart or physically, something that you don't see that is perfect that you think somebody else is going to fix you. Even though I talk about how, I have Earl or these other mentors and people that I look up to, and they might be in my life, and they're somebody that I look up to, but they're not constantly with me. They're not going to pick me up all the time. They're going to be there to support me and give me advice and things that I can ask questions about. But at the end of the day, it's always going to be you. I'm not saying don't go out and find somebody that, adds to you, because, nobody's perfect. And I believe that's why we do attract other people, because you want to find somebody that fits into your life and complements your imperfections and, balances you out. But at the same time, you work on things alone, you do things alone. And at the end of the day, you can celebrate things alone. You don't need somebody constantly there, because it's not going to fix you. People are just going to add to your life. And that's why, I've been alone for a long time, is because I wanted to be the best person that I could be. I wanted to be financially stable. I wanted to be happy with everything that I do. And then at the end of it, I want to share that with somebody. I don't ever want to feel like somebody is having to pick me up all the time. And I don't think you should either. Whoever you are, wherever you're listening to this, know that you are loved, all right? Because there's always going to be people that will support you, but it doesn't mean you need them there constantly. And a relationship isn't going to fix your problems. So the best thing that I can tell you is just do some reflection, read a book, get outside, and just enjoy your life. That special someone, that person, whoever they may be, will come into your life one day and you'll realize, holy shit, it clicks, you know? And then people are always like, well, how do I know, if I've met this special someone? And what I can say to that is, it's not going to be, this bolt of lightning. It's not going to be this Hollywood movie that just all of a sudden just changes your life. That person's going to come into your life subtly and just start to change it piece by piece. And you're going to look at this person one day differently and say, wow, this person is like a shot of espresso, it's like bathing in warm sunlight. And to that, then those special, it's not going to just magically be this spark that says, holy crap, I met the person, This person's going to stand next to you every single day and choose you. So that's what I can say to that. And another thing that, people have been brought up to me, and I get this literally all the time, is about perception, judgment, and, the images somebody has of you in their mind. And, personally, I get judged a lot. People take 2 looks at me, or 1 look at me, and then they think that maybe I'm this disrespectful, cocky, condescending kind of person. And, I've dealt with that my whole life. And, I can't, maybe it's just because of the way that I look, or maybe they think that I come off with an attitude. But, I never let it get me down, because a lot of people think that, if somebody's judging you constantly, that it's going to affect you. And, maybe to some people it might, but that's where I say, you gotta beat that. You can't let people weigh you down with their negativity, their judgments, because at the end of the day, you can prove them wrong. You're the one who controls your outcome. You're the one that has your own attitude, and you control it. You're the captain of your heart. You're the master of your soul, and undeniably, you're the one that changes somebody's outcome. There's always going to be people that hate you or judge you, and you can't change that. I'm sorry. But the people that you do meet, you can set a good example. And after they get to know you and they see a part of you, I'm sure they're going to love you. Because that is just one of the hardest things in life, that, it's always going to be a thing, and it's something that you want to break, but we can't. So all you can do is just try and face it head on and work on that. And I'm still doing that to this day. I constantly get judged, especially when I started TikTok. Something that I didn't really want to do. And then I started doing it, and I started seeing the positive effects. But I got judged for it tremendously. People were just hating on me and saying that I was, a bunch of these things that I'm not. If you get to know me, I'm not. And then I was like, well, I clearly got to try and change my image. But I've always gotten the same things growing up. And, I think the biggest one that I got was that people thought I was this player or this person with an ego. And, they thought that I was condescending to everybody, maybe a dick. And little did they know, I was, raised by women. My mom was an absolute great role model to me, taught me so many positive outlooks on life. And, I think that's why I smile so much. And and my British grandmother, who taught me all these things to be a gentleman, and my twin sister, who would absolutely destroy me if I ever looked at a girl wrong, talked to a girl wrong, and ever wanted to bring a girl home or things like that. My sister was like, well, you better be doing this, you better be doing that. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. And so it's all about taking those negative connotations about you and just flipping them, because once people got to know me, and, people talk to me or learn about my history or just the way that I approach life, they completely switched. You know, their perception of me just switched. And then I would get the same thing over and over again. They'd look at me and they'd be like, I'm going to be honest. When I first met you, I thought you were going to be like this cocky, ego-filled dick. And I was like, why? And they were like, honestly, because the way you look. And I was like, I laughed because, you know, I was like, I get this all the time. You know, there's been so many situations where I've taken people out and they look at me and then they tell me this afterwards and I get the same thing and I just don't know what to say. I'm like, okay. But, you know, I think I get this because I do come off very confident and calm. And that's because, you know, I did a lot of reflection in my life. You know, I know who I am. I know what I want in life. And I don't need to compromise. You know, I'm not nervous around people like I used to be when I was younger because, you know, I've been through things in my life and I just know exactly what I want. And I don't need to impress people. I don't need to put on a show because I like who I am. And like I said before, I'm just not trying to impress people. But anyways, I'm just going to end it here today. I think that's enough for you guys. Just a quick little snippet, my little isolation. But if you have any questions that you want to submit to me, and we can talk about them. And I mentioned before, once I hit 300,000 on TikTok, that I will be bringing on somebody that can come on the podcast and we can, you know, talk about life, things that they've got going on. I've already got a bunch of people who have emailed me and, you know, I've gotten back to as many as I can. There was a lovely person that reached out to me last night on Instagram and we talked about her life and I just sent her back a very long video message, just trying to help her with something that she's going through. And that is what I want to do with this podcast, is just talk about the hard things that you're going through. And hopefully that I can give you some insight in that I've gone through, or maybe some experiences that I've heard from my mentors and people that I look up to, that I can give you some sort of relief in your life. So anyways, thank you very much for tuning into Life on Fire, and I'll talk to you later. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for your time.